Productions. Hiya monsters, and thanks again for stopping by. Are you ready for Cuphead.exe Part 4, The Devil's Rejects? Well, I hope you are, and I hope you enjoy the story. It's been quite an adventure. Part 4 will be the conclusion of this story, but not of Cuphead.exe in general, because there are a couple of more Cuphead.exes being written up right now. If you haven't seen Cuphead.exe Part 1 yet, there will be a link in the description below. Oh, okay monsters, get your possessed demonic laptops ready, and let the conclusion begin. Cuphead.exe Part 4, The Devil's Rejects. I had hoped that I was coming to an end of the game. I was feeling weak, not sure how much blood I had lost from my fingers being attached to the laptop. I went to vomit, but only dry heaved. Some water would have been nice, but I couldn't move. The control I once had in my body had completely diminished. I was there for the ride. Cuphead, Mugman, and Miss Chalice communicated through message bubbles and had plotted their next move. After that power move that Miss Chalice used earlier to remove that glitched out mask that blanketed over the Devil's Casino, there was only one thing to do, and that was to head on in and see what was in store. We really had no choice because the surrounding map had been deteriorating around us. It also seemed that Cuphead and his sinister friends were glitching out a bit too. Their deteriorating condition was becoming clear to me. They had lost their voices, that's why they spoke through the message bubbles. This seemed to enrage the three, especially Cuphead. They still looked like their characters, but their eyes went black, and their glowing red pupils had me hypnotized, as all three stared at me. Now sirens went off in the direction of the Devil's Casino. The ground had begun to fade away below their feet. No more time to waste, said the message bubble above Cuphead's head. The cleansing is almost complete, it continued on. Now Mugman used the wire strings attached to him to slash down the large wooden doors that blocked our path in. And then I heard an alarming bleep bleep come from Miss Chalice. She had been pointing at the disappearing ground. I could only wish for them to fall into the black abyss. But that did not happen. Mugman had surely done a number on the doors, and with a final blow from Cuphead's axe, the door was down, and we quickly entered the walls of the Devil's Casino, when all of a sudden, the screen had gone black. The screen had started to fade back in, and a poorly pixelated cutscene began. Now King Dice had came into the camera view and haunted Cuphead and the gang. Now King Dice appeared untouched, but rather dull in color. You have to stop this, Cuphead, the message above King Dice's head said. Messages continued popping up that were thrashing reactions to what Cuphead had done. We cannot let you destroy what I have worked so hard on creating, said a new message bubble. The bubble was black and red in color, and hadn't popped up above none of the characters' heads. But then a silhouette approached the side of King Dice. You are rejects, the black and red message bubble showed. It continued by saying, rejects that were supposed to be brain dead, but where all the switches in your systems were turned off, allowing you to continue this alter reality of joy and bliss. But somehow, a few switches turned back on, and here we are. The mysterious mystery bubble then disappeared. Where the silhouette had been standing, two large glowing yellow eyes opened up. Another red and black bubble popped up. Annihilate them. And just as fast as I was able to read the message, the bosses from all the other map areas charged at the three from all angles. I could tell who the characters were, but like how they transform into different forms during like the real game, these forms that they had taken were hideous. With all that's happened, I was sure Cuphead, Mugman, and Miss Chalice were going to be able to handle their own. But as King Dice and that black silhouette with those yellow eyes turned around to walk away, the terrifying bosses were now on top of all three. Now Cuphead and the others did all they could to fight back. Had even got some decent hits in by slashing and clawing chunks from the surrounding creatures. But it was not good enough to stop the force that had been brought down upon them. The bosses made no haste in wrangling up the three, and with grins and snarling far more worse and unnerving than Cuphead's had ever been, dismembered and tore the three into pieces. Without a second's notice, my fingers had been freed. The creatures then turned and looked at me. "You're next," a voice came through. I was in the weakest state that I had ever been in, but I was able to raise my blood-drained hand on top of the laptop screen, and just before the creatures launched towards the screen, I closed it. I had finally closed it. A grin had come over my face, and then that's when I passed out. I'm not sure how long I was asleep for, but the 5 o'clock shadow and scruffiness of this newly grown-in facial hair, it must have been a couple of days. I remembered everything that happened, and that's when I looked over at the laptop that thankfully sat closed in front of me. Not really knowing what to do with the laptop and worried about anybody else getting their hands on it, I decided, for now, to sit it on the top shelf in a closet somewhere in the apartment and place some old folded blankets and boxes on top of it to reassure that it would never open up again. I then walked into the kitchen and got a glass of water. Not really sure if I would ever open the laptop again, honestly. I could destroy it, but I really have no idea what would happen. But if I do decide to open it, and I'm able to survive another game, I will certainly update about Cuphead.exe.
All of a sudden, it stopped.